The New York State Department of Transportation presents the DOT POD.
And welcome into the DOT POD. I'm Josh Heller.
And I'm Anya Cardos.
And we are delighted to have you joining us. But we may sound a little bit different today. You may hear a little bit of a background noise. That is because we are on location at Mohawk Valley Community College here in Utica, New York. And we are here to learn more about the event we are at, which is the New York State Association of Transportation Engineers Annual Conference, otherwise known as NYSATE, which is currently going on around us.
That's right. NYSDOT plays a huge role in NYSATE and its yearly conference. And today, we're going to learn more about this long-running relationship with respect to the organization's support of specialized continuing education for DOT staff, as well as a greater statewide transportation community. This is a big impact here, which of course benefits all of us here in New York. And we are excited to introduce Brian Hoffman, DOT's professional engineer with Region 2's Design Group, and Bob Rice, Regional Manager for DOT's Office of Planning and Program Management. Bob is also the president of NYSATE's Board of Directors as well. Welcome, Bob and
Thanks,
Brian.
guys.
Thanks for having us.
So I guess we'll kick things off. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourself? Brian, we'll start with you. Tell us about yourself, what you do for the agency, and your background.
Sure. So currently I'm the Regional Design Engineer for Region 2, the Mohawk Valley region. I've been in that position since 2011. And I've been with DOT, actually as of June 1st, 32 years. And it's been an incredible career, very rewarding, and wouldn't have traded it for anything.
That's fantastic. Bob?
I'm currently the Planning and Program Manager for Region 1 of DOT. I've also 30 years on June 1st. I didn't realize, Brian, we had the same anniversary.
Wow. Congratulations.
Spent a lot of time in maintenance and planning in Region 2 as well as Region 1 and in a short amount of time in Region 8.
And now talk about your position here with NYSATE.
So just a little background. I mean, NYSATE is sort of comprised, we have 11 sections which mirror for the most part how DOT is set up, with the exception of Long Island and New York City are one region and main office is a separate region. So each one of those sections elects a representative to be on the board of directors right here. And I certainly have the privilege of acting as the president of that board for the last 5 or 6 years or so.
So I think for those who are listening and who may not be familiar with NYSATE, I guess let's break it down to its bare bones. What is NYSATE and what are the what is its mission? I guess what they're trying to do.
It's actually interesting. Next year NYSATE will be turning 100 years old. So the first time there was ever a gathering goes back to 1925.
Wow.
And this was when it was the Highway Association of New York State, and the DOT actually consisted, they were the Bureau of Highways at the time. And so there are actually just 9 divisions around the state of those offices. And in the early era of it, NYSATE was actually involved with wages and working condition. They're sort of negotiating or lobbying on the behalf of the employees, and as well as, literally in quotes, the interchange of technical knowledge. So those sort of 3 components, even going back to a 100-year-old document, it's sort of the partnership. Eventually CSEA sort of went into take over more of that employee relations kind of element, but that exchange of technical knowledge has been a component of it for as long as DOT or its earlier incarnations has been around. So.
But the professional development portion of this is really what's at the heart of this conference, and it's remained in NYSATE, correct?
Continuing ed is fundamental to what we do. There are really 2 things. We have a large scholarship component which sort of helps to drive the future generation and get people interested in the career. But then I want to say at least 10, 12 years ago, the requirement for people that had a professional engineering license, they needed to have so many continuing education credits. They need to do that every year as part of recertification or their license. So right. The relevance of the organization certainly picked up with that continuing ed being fundamental to it. So having the opportunity to have professional speakers come in and talk about best practices, projects that have gone on here, it really becomes fundamental to that continuing ed component.
And with something, like engineering, like the highway engineering that we're talking about here, I mean, you need to be on the cutting edge. I mean, we're talking, massive projects. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, and we're talking about people's safety. I mean, making sure that you are continuing to learn and grow and improve is crucial.
Absolutely. And again, that's a key component of this conference, and it provides an opportunity for people to network and to learn. And I think it's important to realize too that it crosses other disciplines as well. Landscape architecture and planning professionals. It certainly highway engineering, civil engineering is a huge component, but there's other disciplines involved, and the organization recognizes that. And
in addition to that, we also have gathering. People are here from Long Island to Buffalo and everywhere in between. So when you say about this, seeing the projects and best practices, you may work on a daily basis in a county up north somewhere, but then you're learning about the Kensington Parkway or something like that, things that are going on in Buffalo or things that are going on in the city.
Well, and that's that exchange of information that you were talking about. It's been described, this annual event, as kind of part informational and training event and part kind of reunion with other transportation officials who are doing similar jobs to you, but just in completely different places. We've talked in the past with different people at DOT, and the difference in what's needed and the projects between New York City and Long Island, out west to Buffalo to, here in the Mohawk Valley. I mean, what's needed is so different. So being able to kind of pass along information that someone who doesn't live in this area, work in this area, understand the problems of this area, I mean, that has to be an absolute, gold mine of information.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you do make a valid point that, the needs are different depending on different parts of the state. But in many ways, the underlying problems are the same. And being able to come to an event like this and interact with professionals and the scale of the problem may be different from one region to another, but the underlying issues are relatively the same. And it's great to be able to compare notes and learn from each other to help solve those problems.
Let's talk about the location of this event. It's kind of tied into all the things that you're talking about. We're here on the campus of Mohawk Valley Community College. SUNY Polytechnic is not far from here. A lot of DOT people come from both of these institutions. It's no secret right now that there is a shortage with engineers in the STEM field. This is a really hot field, and we really welcome new faces and new people into not just our department, but we're seeing a lot of other companies around here, other agencies or other, entities around us. They all could use more people. What is it about this connection to these schools, and how is DOT building upon that?
So very practically, concerning SUNY Poly, we do hire a lot of their graduates, and some of those students began their education here at a community college like Mohawk Valley. And we have staff in the region that serve as adjunct faculty at both institutions. So there's that connection. And
you're one of those people.
So I don't serve as a faculty member or adjunct faculty, but I do serve on an advisory board for the Civil Engineering Technology program at SUNY Poly.
That's great.
Been doing that for about 11 years. And it provides an opportunity for us to interact directly with the faculty at SUNY Poly to give input into their education program to make sure it continues to be relevant to the needs of our workforce that we're looking for, and to the ever evolving problems that we're looking to solve in the transportation arena. So that's a great connection that we have with SUNY Poly.
So, talk about what this event is, right? The annual conference. Talk about what's going on here and what we're seeing here. I mean, the amount of people who are coming here, the amount of participation that's going on here, the speeches which are being given, the the kind of educational opportunities that are happening in different buildings. Just kind of give us an idea of what people are getting coming here.
Sure. So there's a very robust technical presentation program, wide-ranging topics related to transportation. We have a diverse range of speakers. Many of them are New York State DOT employees, a lot of consultants, and also we have presentations from many of our material suppliers that support the work that we do. There's the fun and relaxation component to this event as well that helps to build that kind of that professional family type interaction and connections. And we have, where we're sitting now, we have the exhibition area where all of our partners in the industry are displaying their expertise and their services and the products that they think will be helpful to the work that we're doing here. So it's very wide-ranging.
The theme for this year's conference is Utica Rising, and DOT has many examples of investment in Utica throughout the region. We've got the Utica Arterial, which was completed in 2017, the North Genesee Street Gateway Bridge and Multimodal Connector Project that's going to be breaking ground in 2026, and other quality of life projects. There's the one that is a new ramp that's providing direct access to Utica's historic brewery district. Can you talk a little bit more about the things that we can point to in the area that are really lifting up the area and have resulted in a really big positive change here?
So the projects that you just cited were very key to helping the revitalization of the city. There's a tremendous new energy in the downtown area that we firmly believe our projects have helped create. Another project that was recently completed in 2021 is the Route 5S project, again in downtown Utica, where that project transformed a very overbuilt corridor that was unfriendly for pedestrians, unfriendly for bicyclists, and we transformed it into a corridor that's much more appropriate for the traffic that's using it today, and for the types of uses that it was begging for, that multimodal type of use. And directly tied to that, we can point to the construction of a new $600 million hospital in downtown that the development and planning for that hospital was directly tied to some of the improvements that were made on Route 5S, and even going back into the improvements that were made as part of the North-South Arterial project, where we made some enhancements to downtown access and safety. I think were key parts to the decision-making process and where to site that hospital.
So all these parts kind of intersect and really build into one unified piece of transportation network within this community.
Correct.
Wow.
You know, it's interesting. Yeah, even though I work in Albany now, I still a resident of the city of Utica here. So to complement what Brian is saying, it really has been the foundation blocks for some of the private investment, the redevelopment that's gone on in the city of Utica. Whether it is the hospital, the whole the north-south arterial, as well as the east-west arterial, a much more people scale, livable, walkable sort of community. The connections, the pedestrian connections, the Bag Square area has sort of taken off as the new hot place to be for in terms of dinner and connectivity to the train station right there. So it really has. And when you can use the public investment to help support to get byproduct on the private sector development. What's gone on at the auditorium, they had the professional women's hockey program was here, and then we had visitors from around the globe coming here to Utica, and some of it's the central location of it, but it's key when these public investments come in and become the cornerstone that gets other developers that want to come into the area.
Heightens the vibe for sure.
For sure.
And community connectedness.
Earlier today, NYSDOT Commissioner Marie-Therese Dominguez delivered opening session remarks to welcome attendees and kick off the conference. Focused a lot on planning forward the department's strategic plan for where the agency is going here and into the future. And both of you were able to deliver your own remarks. I guess, what are some overall takeaways that you're hoping the attendees here can get out of, not just today, but this entire conference?
I think the commissioner makes some very good points. I mean, we talk about one DOT, and it is these sort of events that really pull together and round out somebody's professional career. It's one thing what you do, you're given job function during the day, but when you actually are here, you break bread together, you spend some time interfacing with people in the other regions as well as our consultant partners right here. It really does make you better at what you do. It gives perspective to what you do. And the commissioner has been very supportive. Even the event last night, the commissioner's walking through the crowd, talking to everybody, making small talk with folks. I mean, that really humanizes us. This is, the commissioner's in town, but she just, she'll never say I'm the commissioner. It's always I'm Marie-Therese, it's a pleasure to meet you kind of thing. And that really does go a long way in terms of one DOT, people focused sort of. And I think NYSATE sets a good forum that lets that happen organically. It's not forced.
A deeper connection for sure.
Yeah.
Especially when the commissioner is walking around and you know that she's invested in this as well as the entire department. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You mentioned, some of the other events that are happening, and some of the events are, educational. Some of them are, kind of learning and interfacing, and some of them are just kind of fun. Let's talk a little bit about some of the fun team building activities that you folks are having here. Some of the fun stuff that's going on here. The lighter side of
you got some games going on.
So last night we kicked off that element, or that component of the conference with an event at the Saranac Brewery. Again, a historic feature or part of Utica. And it was just a great venue to really start off the conference. Later today, actually about a half an hour, we have a fun event with the regional directors. We've put together a Family Feud type game. Some other fun aspects we've arranged for different tours. Some of them are purely recreational. There's one going on right now, a boat cruise on the Erie Canal. Some of them are technical in nature, tours of drone testing and research facility at Griffiths, and so it's a diverse combination of fun and also some technical type extracurricular activities.
You both have your regular jobs, quote unquote, that you do with the agency, but then there's this on top of it. What drew you to want to work more and help develop, this relationship with NYSATE and what it's become and what it is and events like this, above and beyond what you are doing in your normal job? And I use that in air quotes, people can't see. But, this is something that's above and beyond because clearly it's something that means something to you. Clearly it's important. Otherwise, you wouldn't be spending your time on it.
Like we had talked about already, I think the completeness of your career. I mean, the idea, the sense of belonging, I think, is a fundamental human need there. So to be part of an organization and to see it's beyond the set of plans, to be out and see the projects that get built in other parts of the state. One of the elements that there traditionally is in a different location every year, so you're going to see different tours. It's not we're not in Utica every year. Next year we're going to be in Saratoga, and then we're going to be in Rochester the following year. So it sort of complements the element of, all right, here's your 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 sort of job, but we're fortunate to be in a position. This is our profession in addition to just our job. So it's always we'll drag our spouse way out of the way to go see a covered bridge somewhere like that where we're at. It's that sort of element. This is part of it, and these sort of events and this environment gets the, it supplements that. There are a lot of retired DOT people that are now working with our consultant partners on here. So like you said, sometimes we haven't seen them since last year like that. And it's great for that to catch up and what are they up to and the sort of projects that are going on. And we certainly learn, particularly from our private, partners, they're the ones that are involved in a lot of new technologies, new pavement mixes, and the sort of things that whatever your day-to-day function, you may not see that as regularly, and this gives you an opportunity to do something like that. So I just think it rounds it out much more than, your day-to-day job in air quotes.
There's something that the commissioner talks a lot about, and that is that when you're working at DOT, you actually have a hand in these projects. You have a creative voice in these projects, and you really truly have a seat at the table. I feel that that's what you're kind of talking about when you said, yeah, you get to show your spouse like the bridge that you actually, had a hand in designing, or different structures. What is your thought? What are your thoughts on that and that connection to those kind of projects? That's got to be, in some ways, I would feel like that would be my legacy. In some ways, these projects. I mean, in a deeper way.
It's certainly very satisfying and very rewarding to see, that we've, over our careers, that we've had direct impact and involvement in projects that impact people's daily lives.
Yeah.
And that's why we do what we do. And this event, these types of events here, just help further the profession and help us become sharper and being able to better solve the problems that are still out there.
Traditionally, it has been easy that you would run a golf tournament and then a conference and a happy hour or something, but the younger folks that are joining the agency, a much more diverse set of things that they would like to do. And I think for any sort of volunteer organization to stay relevant, those are the things that we're trying to keep up with for it. So for next year's conference, we're actually going to do our first 5K road race in Saratoga Park as a reflection of it's not just a golf course and then the happy hour kind of thing. We've had requests for axe throwing or frisbee golf. I mean, and so we're going to see that sort of evolution. And I think it's important where even maybe not in the office yet, that you're not to the level of a squad leader or a group director or whatever, but you can take on leadership roles in an organization like this. You can run an event. And I think that is inherent skills that then transfer well into there. So we're very conscious of, we've had a lot of young hires in the last 3, 4, 5 years.
Yes.
There are a lot of people younger than 30 years old in the agency here. And sort of at some point, we want to hand this organization to them and make it relevant to them like that. So we welcome comments. We want we want younger folks to be involved in this. It doesn't exist if there aren't these volunteers that come along and make this part of this. We are very fortunate in most sections around the state. There are some very engaged young professionals involved with it. So I don't think we're there yet, but we are. I mentioned in the remarks, during COVID and the lockdown and whether you could even meet in person kind of thing, we weren't sure that NYSATE was going to be around out post COVID. So the idea that we're talking about 600 plus attendees here, I mean, they had to turn away vendors for the location that they just couldn't physically fit them in their own to get. I mean, that the kind of thing that makes you feel good about your career is that sort of stuff.
Speaking about your career,
Yes,
Bob.
Speaking of that,
This year is a big year for you. You are retiring this year.
I am.
Correct? Well, first of all, Josh and I would like to say congratulations.
hearty congratulations.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yes. And as you reflect back on your career, why don't you maybe share a few thoughts on what this career has meant to you, especially when it means actually, touching and helping the public here in New York State.
When the commissioner just spoke now, she got a little bit emotional at the end when you start talking about the people, and it is, for 30 years, this is a big part of your identity. And, my wife will laugh, when you're out somewhere, people know you as sort of the DOT guy or whatever. And I got to try to put a name to a face really quick but it is it. I mean, it's the public service. You didn't necessarily, whether you can make a nickel more somewhere else like that. This is part of it. You love serving the public. You love fixing sort of problems. You help getting communities, neighborhoods sort of rebuilt. New York is really fortunate. I mean, there are so many historic hamlets. We've got the Niagara Falls and the Cooperstowns and the things that draw international sort of things. It is not just about pavement condition or bridge condition like that. I mean, these affect, and the diversity of the department's workforce and how we are spread out amongst the state. We're neighbors to the people on here. It's not, everybody's not in Albany making the decisions about the bridge in Steuben County or whatever. There are people in Steuben County making those sort of calls about things. And that makes it more personal to us all. And I'm going to miss that sort of element there, that it is, you don't just separate it from you. This is not a punch a clock kind of job, for sure.
Well, we want to thank both you guys for not just for coming here and taking some time to chat with us, but just for the work you've done, with the agency, but also with putting events like this together and what this brings to the organization. So thank you both so very much. And Bob, congratulations on a tremendous career, and wish you the best of luck in your next endeavors.
I appreciate that, Josh and Anya. We really appreciate the opportunity. I mean, the idea to be able to talk about NYSATE and highlight it and sort of the relationship with the department's roles, it really is fortunate. So we appreciate that.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's our
thank
pleasure.
you so
Best of luck
much.
too. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Well, Anya, another one in the books. Good one today.
Oh, this was great. To really hear about the spirit behind the department and the vision moving forward. I love it.
Well, thanks all for tuning in to this episode of the DOTPOD. You can find us wherever you find your podcast. Give us a follow. If you have a comment, drop us a line. You can also email us podcast@dot.ny.gov. That's podcast@dot.ny.gov. So, for Anya, I'm Josh. Until next time, we'll see you right back here on the DOTPOD.